Oh,
All right.
right.
This is the Domestic Draft
And
Podcast. I'm Evan
ooh, that
Bierman here
felt
with
good.
Dan Slowick. Dan, what do you got? What are you cracking there?
Stone Amazingly Hazy. Stone Brewing is probably one of the most notable breweries we've had. Most well-known brewery I've done. A
Out
little
of
background
California?
in California. I think even in the United States.
Okay.
I'll give you some information on them. In 2020, they're the ninth largest craft brewery based on volume. They've been rated quote unquote a world class brewery by websites like Rate Beer and Beer Advocate. They've also been voted by the readers of Beer Advocate as the number one all time top brewery on planet Earth. I don't know
Oh, wow.
what else was in that category, but it's been around for a while. So it was founded in 1996 by Greg Koch and Steve Wagner in 1996 in San Marcos, California, which is kind of North County here. And they've just been I mean, they're absolutely massive. They're major sponsorships for the professional soccer team here. They've opened up locations in Virginia as well. Their brewery here is in Escondido, one of them, and it's like a Jurassic Park when you walk in. It's on an acre of land within a warehouse with outdoor space. They got a bistro inside as well. There's one right over by my place here too in Liberty Station. There's one in the airport. So like when you think of San Diego and you think of craft beer in SoCal, you should think of Stone. They've even gone after some of the macros for when Keystone tried to like rebrand and like start saying like, you know, have a stone. They
Yeah.
sued them because they're like, that's us. You can't use that. But the beer I'm drinking again, Amazingly Hazy IPA. It's got a 3.8 on Untappd. It's 6.7%. And the kind of description is that, you know, it's a amazing IPA, features El Dorado and Azacca hops, which brings tons of citrus and fruit elements, while intense Sabro hops highlights the big tropical notes of this beer. The result is a unique hop combination. It's a groovy, juicy citrus bomb with tons of orange, lemon, melon, mango, and pineapple. This beer was released in August of this last year, so it's a new one for them. Yeah, and it's huge. You know Stone. Everyone knows Stone. It's got the
Yeah.
gargoyle.
Yep.
You can get it anywhere. But yeah, it's good beer. How about you? What
Okay.
about you? What do you got?
Be curious to know what the background is on the gargoyle too. So we'll have to look into that sometime.
I saw it somewhere. It was like something how like gargoyles are always supposed to like deter bad spirits and juju. So
Okay.
they kind of put that right in the beginning.
Gotcha. I also have a hazy IPA. This one's from Double Clutch Brewing. It's out in Evanston, Illinois. I was there over the weekend, picked up a growler. If you don't know Double Clutch, it opened recently in the fall of 2021. They are a bar, restaurant, and event space with a stage for live music as well. They have 18 taps, and over half of them are devoted to German styles that are favored by the head brewer, Scott Frank. Scott's a veteran home brewer for over 15 years, and his story is that he was picking up his kid from school and would always small talk a fellow dad doing the same. That Fred Shimp led the fellow dad to Scott's garage, where his little idle idea of a brewery comes up. And so they just drinking his Scott's garage. And so he decided, we should open up a brewery. And Scott's Guest has a father who's part of CCH Management. It's a local restaurant group that runs Pescadero in Lakeview and the Dock House at Montrose Beach, just to name a few. So they pitched the idea to him, and the decision on potential locations shifted to a spot that they already owned. It was a site that they used to store vintage cars. And so that's kind of how the idea of Double Clutch Brewing came to be. And so, they have that German style. They also have Austrian wines on draft and a display of different rare and classic cars. As you can imagine, those rotate out pretty often. They think there's about 84 of them that they rotate here and there. When we were there was like an old Ferrari, old Porsche.
Nice.
So pretty cool little, viewing area for the cars. Then you get the live music and then a little, kind of bar area where we're watching the Cubs game. So it was a fun little spot. Check that out in Evanston. The beer I have here is called Little Juice Coupe. It's a hazy IPA, nice. 5.7%, 3.73 on Untappd. So check them out. They
little
just
play on the
today.
Beach Boys, right? Little Deuce Coupe.
Yep.
Yeah. Just started canning today. I see that you got there. That's so they're expanding. Yeah.
Yeah. So I think production's been picking up a little bit And they just had the growler when I was there, but he said they were just starting to can. So check them out. See if they're in your local stores pretty soon here.
Nice, man.
And the big story I think of the day is Cubs got another win. They're 3-1 now, and frankly, I'm surprised. Good. Yeah, after the Brewers series to start the season, and just how much the Brewers killed us last year, I just did not expect them to be 3-1 at this point. I know it's only been 4 games, but I'm seeing some good things. I don't know.
I was gonna say, what's the biggest
initial impression?
I'll ask you. Yeah, I agree. Pleasantly surprised is kind of how I would say it. Low stakes going into the year, right? Most of us were kind of down on the roster, rebuilding year, not really gonna do much. But if we rewind the tapes a little bit, I said this could be a sneaky team. They could make some noise, but obviously it's super, super early. But I mean, they're playing a different style. It's kind of not what we're really used to. They're slapping the ball around. They don't have a lot of huge bats, but I mean, Seiya has been outrageous. We'll talk about him in a second. But they're really just making contact. They're getting on base more again. This is kind of where I saw, in the 2015 leading up 2016 season, is that team got on base all the time. They were super patient at the plate. They were taking walks. They're making the pitchers work early in the innings, and then getting the, scoring runs on them when they got a little tired. I see a lot of that in this team. I like the roster makeup. They're just solid on defense, crafty on offense. What about you?
Yeah, I mean, you hit the nail on the head. I think they're getting on base a lot more than I thought. I thought there'd be a lot more striking out, and that's, hasn't really been the case.
I mean, the biggest question mark was the starting rotation, right? And Hendricks went out, and he doesn't get talked about. He just goes out there like every single year and just, puts up good numbers. I don't know if he ever talks to the media, right? He just goes about his business. He does, but he just goes about his business, and he just carves people up. And he's not like a hot name. He doesn't get any national like pub, but he's awesome.
Yeah, he only gave up 1 earned run, 3 walks, 7 strikeouts. So that's a big number
against
for
the
somebody
Brewers,
who's got
right?
low velocity. You'd think, that's not the type of guy that's going to strike out 7 in 5 1/3. That's pretty good. Only 5 hits. Yeah.
The next day, Steele looked good.
Steele didn't give up any runs either. 5 innings of work, 5 strikeouts for him. Only 4 hits, so he looked great. And then you got Smiley today.
Yep.
No runs again.
Streamed him in my fantasy team, by the way.
Yep.
Decent start. 5 innings, right? Only gave up, I believe, 3 hits. Only had a strikeout, but I mean, 5 innings, 3 hits is pretty solid.
Yeah, pitch into contact.
Yep.
And it was looking good. Now the bullpen hasn't looked great.
Mm-hmm.
Jesse Chavez, 40.5 ERA after 1 game. He only pitched 2/3 of an inning, but gave up that bomb.
He's been around.
Yeah,
he's pretty old. A couple years ago.
Yep. But Keegan Thompson's thrown 2 2/3. He's looked all right.
Ethan Roberts, I see, has a real nasty slider too. They keep putting him in there, and he's a cool little story too. Finally, making the team there and just throwing junk.
Yeah, that was awesome to see when Ross told him that he made the team too. That was just a great video. And then you got David Robertson, who's been pitching really well. He's thrown 3 innings now. He's got a couple saves. He's looking good. But yeah, I mean, there's a couple guys in there that you're like, I don't know if they're going to be around. And that's okay. I think Jed took some shots on some of these guys. Some of them are aging, and a few of them were off of the team that won the World Series last year. So it's like, yeah, why not? Why not take a shot on them? And I'm just surprised so far with the pitching. Definitely.
What's your initial Seiya Suzuki, man? Did you think he was going to be this good? This discipline? What's your initial reaction?
That's the thing, is the discipline is ridiculous. I think for somebody coming over to the States, and just the adjustment, I feel like it's a big adjustment. It's totally different velocity that he's seeing. And, he's been so disciplined with everything, just sitting back and waiting for his pitch. And he's taking his walks. He's got 4 walks already, leading the team with walks. He's got leading the team in RBIs, 8 RBIs, leading the team in homers. I mean,
2 today.
Yeah. 2 bombs today, his first multi-homer game. And he had his first homer a couple of days ago. So back-to-back games, he's got 3 homers already. He's looking good, hitting 417. I mean,
yeah, he seems like a fun personality too. Do you see some of the interactions he has? I know I heard Ian Happ on the radio the other day talking about how funny he is, and then how he, he uses his translator toy in the dugout, but it like builds suspense to where like, say I will like say a joke or like a quick quip here and there to get a rise, and he's laughing, but the players like don't know what he said, so then they have to wait for the translator to then translate why he's laughing, and he's like, that just makes it even more, that much more funny.
He's just must watch right now. Every time he's up, I need to watch.
I love it. It eases the pain of like losing all of our kind of like cornerstone players just a year ago, to have this like fun new talent who is just so interesting on multitude of levels, and that will just bring a lot to this team. And same with like Stroman, right? Stroman's another player that's just fun to watch, and that's going to give the fans a lot, right? He's very active on social media talking about Stroman, constantly like talking up how awesome Wrigley is, how awesome the fan base is. Like, they're giving the fans a lot this year, and it's a good start. It's going to get tough. It's not always going to be this good. Maybe it will be, but I don't think so.
Hayward's not going to hit 375 all year.
Yeah,
I'll tell you that. But
what about Ian Happ? You think he can keep it up for a full year?
He's hitting 700 right now, so he's not going to keep it up.
Well, not that,
like this
but
much.
just.
But we talked about him last year and kind of hyped him up. I think he's a great player if he, can keep it together. I think the guy's got, the sky's the limit for him. I really do. I think he's a good player, and I would hate for us to give up on him too soon and then him to kill it somewhere else. So I hope this is his year. I really do. And because it's really hard right now for me. I don't know about you, to see like Javi excelling in Detroit, hitting that massive homer and that walk off against the White Sox. And it's hard to see some of those guys not on the team anymore. Rizzo's been doing pretty well too. So,
but you're only seeing their highlights. That's what's coming across your timeline. You're not watching, and maybe you are, I don't know, but you're not watching their full game at bats and still swinging in the dirt, or still swinging at balls in the dirt. It's gonna be there. But
yeah, I don't care though if they're producing. I mean, they're all doing really well right now. Solaire's not looking so good. I got him on my fantasy squad, so I keep up with him, and he's not doing so well.
What do you think about the universal DH? No more. I heard they did like a tribute video at the Cubs game where they just showed like pitchers hitting.
Oh, really?
Yeah, like from Cubs teams in the past, and just like kind of giving them their one last like tribute. What do you think of the new DH, universal DH?
I mean, when a pitcher hit a home run, that was like the coolest thing, awesome. Especially if you're at the game. It was amazing. But that was so few and far between that I'm glad that there's, somebody that knows how to hit up there all the time. I think it's better for the game, and, people aren't, going to the bathroom or getting up when the pitcher's up to bat, knowing that's already going to be an out, or maybe they're just going to stand up there and not even swing. So I think it's all around. It's just good. What do you think?
Yeah, I agree. I will miss it though. I'm kind of sentimental about that. I was always like loving that we were part of the NL, that we had that in our league, that it was a part of the game on this side, and that when it came to it, something that they had to use it in the playoffs as well. I understand why they do it, but I still like the purity of having your pitcher hit and either bunting or swinging away. And then if they do get contact, like that's some of the loudest cheers you've heard in Wrigley, is when a pitcher hits a home run or an RBI, or just kind of finds its way through the hole there. And you're like, yeah, he did it, So whatever, it was bound to happen, and it's here. Another new thing that I'm finding interesting is the catchers with the buttons for location.
Yeah.
They're no longer thrown. Well, not, it's by choice, right? So if you choose to wear that wristband, you don't have to throw fingers down to throw signs that could possibly get stolen. You now have a wristband with buttons, and then the pitchers have a hat that is then, communicating with them where they want this ball to be thrown. Interesting. I've seen it once already where like they ditched it because like it was malfunctioning. It wasn't working. So they had to go back to throwing signs. Taking, back to your baseball playing days and just knowing, like, what do you think about like these technologies becoming part of the game, to where now like you're pressing a button to talk to your teammates, and maybe like, position wise too, like coaches will be able to tell, shallow, deep, whatever. Like, what do you think about that?
I'm so split on that because, it's nostalgic to think about, you're playing shortstop and you're looking into the catcher's sign, and, like just being that keyed into the game. I feel like, I miss that kind of thing, but also the Astros ruined it for everybody.
Yeah.
And I think they needed to think of something like this. And I think this is the perfect way to do it. And NFL already does it, with coaches talking to quarterbacks. So I think this was long overdue, and it's called the pitch comm. And so it lets catchers communicate secretly to the pitchers and then up to 3 fielders. So I think that's usually, one of the outfielders.
Okay.
And
I was
shortstop.
going to ask, I was like, how do they communicate a pitch out? Like if they want to get a guy stealing, like, so that communicates to the shortstop and the second baseman also.
Yeah. I think it's probably everybody up the middle.
Yeah.
And, so that everybody knows, what's going on. Yeah. Like you said, if it's a pitch out or something like that, or if they're throwing outside, then everybody can shift a little bit. Which I'm seeing teams do a lot still is the shift, right? They're still using it because they know this is the last year that you can use it. So I think everybody's like, well, let's use it one more time. Just use it while we can. But I think overall, if I had to choose good or not, I would say good because, it's better for the game and
speeding it up.
Speeding it up for sure. What about you?
Yeah. I think it's kind of crazy that, but yeah, other sports do it as well, right? Like your example there with the NFL. Yeah, I just hope we don't get into, I don't know, like it's going to be robo-umps, right? Everyone's saying
that's the one thing
I don't know. Yeah, exactly.
You need a little,
you need like
uncertainty with
like
stuff.
Joe West. You need the characters there, someone to hate, and just like Angel, what's his name, who can't call a strike. I forget the umpire's name, Angel Hernandez or something like that.
Yeah.
I don't know. You need a little bit of that though. Throwing a manager out, right? Yeah.
In every sport, you need refs, you need
the human element. You need it.
Right, for sure. So that's where I'm at on that.
Cubs gonna win the division.
Yeah, that's the thing. Is the Brewers look so bad? Are they frauds?
It's so early, dude. Baseball's such a long season.
Yeah, you've only seen one season. Start out of their big 3: Peralta, Burns, and
it was in Chicago in like 30-degree weather.
Yeah, they're making all the excuses in the book right now, but
you should.
The fact of the matter is, both teams played in it, so that's
right. True.
That's what it is. Then the beanballs is something that has been kind of a pain in the ass though to watch
between the Brewers and the Cubs.
Yeah. I mean, benches clearing on Saturday. They just keep hitting Contreras.
Contreras has been hit like 14 times by them or something.
Yeah, 15 times in 85 games against Milwaukee, which is a lot.
It's a lot.
And 4 times just last year. So then he got hit again, and it's like, what's going on here? This isn't. And I think he was saying after the game, like he's not like upset about it so much as like, why is the pitcher throwing inside when, if he's going to say, oh, it's too cold for me to, so I'm losing. Like, why are you coming inside? Because there's a risk of
if he's losing grip. Yeah.
Yeah. So, I mean, I get it. Somebody throwing 95 miles an hour and it hits you, like people are getting hurt, so don't come inside. I agree with them on that, but.
Yeah. I mean, it is what it is, right? It's like the old hidden or unspoken rules of baseball. But I think also, it's ridiculous, right? 14 times in 80 something games is way too much. And I saw, something needs to be done with that next time we play, if it happens. I think the league needs to come down on that a little bit.
Yeah, looking forward to playing them again though, because we took 2 out of 3. There we go.
Yeah, it's a nice rivalry,
Yeah.
I think the whole NL Central should be all right. We beat the Pirates today. They're going to be awful, but it should be fun. Another thing too, before we move on here, the last thing, some of the new like nationally televised baseball games, they're like miking up players and doing like in-game kind of interviews and like talking to them a little bit. Are you for or against it?
I don't like it.
You don't like it?
No, I don't like it. I mean, from a fan's perspective, it's great, but I can't imagine as a player when they're asking you like, hey, if somebody hits you a single, who are you going to throw it to now? It's like not, I'm trying to play a game here. I'm trying to work. Like, can you imagine if you're at work, Dan, and somebody's in your earpiece, like, hey,
and
what are you going to do right here? Or what are you going to write up on the chalkboard there?
The thing is that there's no other sport that does that too.
Yeah.
Like mid game while it's going on. Imagine if you had like mic'd up athletes in the NFL and the NBA, like as they're getting subbed out, like, hey, why are they just going to run? What'd you do wrong? Yeah.
I didn't catch the Joey Votto one, but I heard that one was good. But I did see the Kiki Hernandez base hit up the middle, and he was like, yeah, if Rizzo hits me a grounder here, if it's hit too hard, and like it's cool I think fans need to know that, especially if you like didn't play baseball and stuff, and you're like, oh, where's he going to throw it if this gets hit to him? But I just think as a player, that's got to suck. you
It's
know.
yeah, whatever for me though. They're trying things, right? I think this is a big experimental process right now that the MLB is in of like, all right, how do we get fans?
Yeah,
Let's try a bunch of shit and see what works. And I think
yeah,
this is just one of them.
right. I
Yeah,
like when they do
definitely.
it in that, like the minors though. I like when they test out stuff like that, and I feel like this would be like a good thing for the minor leagues too, to like get to know some of the players if you're watching that game for whatever reason, you know.
True.
But
All right, man. You want to talk about the Bulls here? Speaking of another rivalry with a team from Milwaukee with the Cubs and the Brewers, let's talk about the Bulls and the Bucks.
yeah, let's
Uh,
hear how you're feeling right off the bat, because I know you were
Awful.
really, yeah.
I was really pulling for either a Philly or Boston draw. I mean, really, I was pulling for a Boston draw. Like I wanted the Bulls to get Boston. I thought we had our best chances against the Celtics. But to pull the Bucks in this, it's the worst case scenario. Um, FanDuel's got us at plus 610 underdogs here. It's pretty heavily favored in Milwaukee's um, heavily favored for Milwaukee. I mean, we played them 4 times this year. They've beat us 4 out of those 4 times. Pretty much shellacked us the last 2. I mean, 127 to 106 was the last one. 126 to 98, the one before that. A couple close competitions before that. 90 to 94 was the first one. 112 to 118. So I think they got our number. I think it doesn't help that Lonzo's out. If I don't know, I just hope we don't get swept because I think that's a possibility, especially the way this team was playing towards the end of the season. What about you, man? What do you think?
Yeah, I think they'll be lucky if they get one. Honestly, the way that they just don't match up well with Milwaukee at all.
Yeah, so that's a big question too. Is like, how are they gonna? Well, first, what's the starting lineup going to be? Are they going to start Io or Caruso at the guard? Zach, DeMar, and Vooch are going to start. Are they going to slide Patrick Williams in there? Probably, right? He just had his career high 35-point game last game of the season. He's got a couple games under his belt after missing majority of the year. So we really need him to do a lot. And that's asking a lot for a 20-year-old. And then also we need Caruso to be our starting guard is a huge order, right? So we'll see what Billy does. He hasn't come out with the starting lineup, but that's maybe my assumption there. And then who's guarding Giannis, right? You're going to throw Pat Williams at him. You'll probably throw Javante Green at him. You'll probably throw Derek Jones Jr. at him. Like as many of these kind of long forwards that you have just to continually throw at him, but you're not going to stop them, right? And I mean, the team that Milwaukee team is just so deep. I even forget they have like Serge Ibaka on their bench. And Drew Holiday, if we don't have a guard and he's one of the top defending guards in the NBA, it's going to be really hard for us to kind of get any motion on offense as well, or like any type of rhythm. I mean, the team is just they're going to look for a repeat. I think Milwaukee. And it just sucks that we started really, really, really letting the wind out of our sails towards the end of the season, and unfortunate draw of Milwaukee.
What do you think the reason for that was? Like, why did they just start to shit the bed at the end of the season here? Because they were
I don't
looking
know.
great
Like,
the whole year.
yeah, I think, well, they're
Just
looking
gassed.
awesome in the beginning of the year because everyone's like new and fresh. And also, we had Lonzo. I mean, Lonzo went out in like January, I think. And I think it's a little bit of relying very heavily on DeMar. He had like that outrageous run of games where he was basically handedly winning games. And then, he wasn't doing as well. He was still doing great. But the ball started to stick a little more. It started to become isolation. It started to become, get DeMar the ball, look for his touches. Zach's knee was acting up again. We had one of the worst records post All-Star break. I think they looked at like the top 6 worst records post All-Star break, and
Yeah,
the
it doesn't
first
surprise me.
5 were lottery teams, and we were the 6th. It was just, I mean, we stopped playing defense. Like we couldn't guard a soul. And I think really they kind of just saw the writing on the wall that, this team without Lonzo, like, I don't know, that they kind of quit, right? I think that's what happened is they kind of quit. They got hurt. And then once they got healthy after that, it took a while to find any chemistry. And I still don't think they have any chemistry going into the playoffs, but I mean, we'll see. They get a ton of time off, right? Their first game is going to be, I believe, this coming Sunday. last time Vooch was in the playoffs, he averaged 28 and 11. So we're going to need a huge series from Vooch. Zach's never been in the playoffs before, so we'll see what kind of effort he puts forward. If maybe all of a sudden he starts trying on defense again because it's the playoffs. But the game definitely changes in playoff basketball. It becomes more physical, slows down a little bit. And I
A lot
just
more
don't
fun to
think
watch too.
a lot more fun to watch. And I don't think we have the bodies for it to win that physicality against Milwaukee.
Yeah. So okay, that brings me to the next question. What are their top priorities for next off season? I think it's you need a big body power forward. That's my opinion.
You always think you need a
Yeah.
big body. You need
Forever the
Andre
Bulls will
Drummond.
need
You need Andre Drummond on your team stat. No, I think they need Lonzo to be healthy. They need more shooting. They definitely need more 3-point shooting, right? All year long, we're one of the last teams of 3-pointers attempted. Although we had some of the highest percentage shooting. So yeah, and then you can't go wrong with like the ideal position we would want. I mean, we got Tristan Thompson, but he's looked like shit since we've got him.
Yeah.
You need that backup athletic big that's a pick and roll lob dunker and can also just like defend the rim and run up and down the court. So somebody who's kind of got that experience to do that, that could also, just play smart basketball.
You got any names?
Not off the top of my head. I mean, off the top of my head, I'm like, I wish we had Daniel Gafford still on this team.
Wendell
But
Carter.
yeah, I mean, Wendell Carter's been playing great, but who's to say he does that here in Chicago? I think change of scenery was great.
Off the
for him.
bench, he'd be great, I think. I mean, he's a great rebounder. We're one of the worst rebounding teams
Yeah.
in the NBA.
Yeah.
So, but
yeah, it's tough. Yeah, I would say obviously this team, I mean, you saw without a point guard, without a true point guard, just like how slow the offense got, how stagnant the ball became. Transition seems like a chore instead of just like throwing the ball, flick of the wrist, 3/4 of the floor. So definitely Lonzo being healthy would be great. 3-point shooting is always welcome on an NBA floor, specifically the way the game is played these days. And then, yeah, get a big body rotational big.
I feel like you need that in the playoffs as well. Is like a sharpshooter, like a Kyle Korver, a Mike Miller,
somebody that you have
like
to guard. It's because you need
Danny Green.
NBA players are so good at
Miller.
defense that they could help and they could jab. And they're so long that if you're not ready to shoot, like if you're somebody that they could cheat on, I mean, that's going to make their defense that much better, right? If they could cheat in a step or two and really clog up the lane, I mean, it just disrupts everything. So you need that gunner on the wing or in the corner that like you have to stick to. So when you have the defender sticking to them, lanes open up, right? And driving lanes open up, and then kicks and dish, and in your pick and roll game, like you can't sag off the player, because if it's pick and roll and you sag off, they're going to dish it out to the shooter and he's going to knock down a three, right? Like people are so good at shooting threes. We need more shooters.
So could Kobe White ever be that person?
Man, he's looked like absolute shit. I don't think so. I think I'm out on Kobe White.
Yeah, you don't think he fits his team anymore? I mean, he's a good player. He could be good somewhere.
If you're watching him lately, he had a good last game. He finally got some confidence in him, had a couple threes made, but like before that, the guy is thinking so much. He's kind of like paralysis by analysis out there. He was in a huge shooting slump. Can't guard a soul, lost on defense, and just did not look like he belonged out there. So for those reasons, Shark Tank, for those reasons, I'm out, Kobe.
Yeah. All right. So we'll see if they, maybe pick up a game or two here, but we're not expecting any big things. Like you said, if you want to throw some money on the Bulls, you can make some serious cash if you think they're going to win.
Yeah. I'll be watching. I'll be yelling at my TV.
There you go. You got a would you rather for us, Dan?
Yeah. Let's do a would you rather fast fact and we could get out of here. So would you rather, are you ready for this one? All right. Would you rather be in attendance for the Super Bowl for the Chicago Bears, but you're sitting in the last row?
Okay.
Sitting in the last row. Or would you rather be in attendance for a Bulls game 7 and you're sitting within like the 100 level, the first bowl?
And this is game 7 in the championship, right?
Yeah. So it's like both championship games.
Ooh, that's a good one. Because the Bulls haven't been there almost just as long.
Yeah, I mean, what, they went with Grossman there in 2006.
So you're talking the top row of Soldier Field in,
or whatever stadium it's in, right?
Oh yeah, okay. Yeah, I think I think I'm going to take the Bulls.
That's a surprise.
Is
That's
it
a surprise.
I like, well, it's indoors, so weather is not a factor, but also you're sitting closer. And I feel like the energy inside, no, this isn't true because I mean, it's a Super Bowl.
Are you talking yourself out of it? Because
I'm
that's
talking
what
myself
my
out of it.
rebuttal was going to be like, but the pageantry of the Super Bowl, it's like a week-long party.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm talking myself out of it. I'm going Super Bowl. I think I would do Super Bowl.
You
But
answered the
game
question
7
both
of a
ways.
Bulls game has got to be amazing.
Yeah.
But
It's got to be great.
obviously.
Standing the whole time, probably, because I don't know.
Both of them, I'm
Games are
sure.
a little faster, a little quicker.
Yeah.
That nosebleed would be tough. It would be awesome just to be there, but if you're in, I mean, I guess the way the stadiums are set up these days too, with those screens, those jumbotrons, you're basically sitting nosebleed but watching TV.
I've been to a World Series game for the Cubs, Dan. Maybe you've forgotten. I know how that is.
That's
But
right.
I mean, there's some people there that are just like rich people that are like, oh, I got this ticket, and weren't like super invested, which was a little unfortunate. So you're definitely going to get that crowd, I think, at either event. But if you're a super fan, either of those events is amazing. I think I would do the Super Bowl though, just because the Bears,
sure?
It's been so long. That's my final answer. What about you?
Final answer. Yeah, I'd have to go Bulls. Bulls championship game to be to be there. 100 level, like those are going to be good seats regardless of what stadium it's at. And yeah, you're indoor. I mean, just thinking of like how tense those games can be. Yeah, I'd miss out on the whole pageantry of like being at the Super Bowl, and outside the stadium's probably like berserk and tons of things going on. You're staying in that city and the whole city's like involved in it. But yeah, I'd go basketball. I'd go Bulls.
There you go.
Yeah. You got a fact?
I do. So the White Sox and the Cubs are both 3-1. So I'm going to hit you with some Sox Cubs fast facts. The Crosstown Cup series this year is actually going to be 6 games. I think the past couple of years it's been 4. The White Sox currently lead the regular season series 70-64. How did this rivalry start? You might ask. The rivalry between the two teams and their fans dates back to the founding of the American League. In 1900, Charles Comiskey moved his St. Paul Saints minor league franchise to Chicago. It's believed that the Cubs owner at this time was not happy and filed a lawsuit against Comiskey. After talks, it was decided Comiskey could move his team to Chicago, pending that Chicago was not used in the title of the team name, and that the team plays south of 35th Street. In response, the White Sox renamed to the White Stockings, which had been the original name of the Cubs from 1876 to 1889. So a little subtle jab there.
Yeah.
The establishment of a new team in the city was a direct challenge to the National League franchise, which had been the idea behind the formation of the American League. As the AL gained popularity with cheaper prices on admission and alcohol, there you go. The NL recognized the equality of the AL, and this recognition did little to stem the rivalry between the owners, players, and fans that had been established. So the two teams have met only once in the World Series. This is in 1906. The Cubs were heavily favored in that contest. They'd won 116 games in the regular season, but they lost in 6 games to the veteran and pitching strong White Sox, who were then known as the Hitless Wonders. So there's your fast facts about the Cubs-White Sox rivalry.
Tough. We're going to sweep them this year.
Yeah.
Let's hope all 6.
All right. Thanks again for joining us. For Dan Sloak, I'm Evan Bierman. You've been listening to the Domestic Draft Podcast. If you're listening on Spotify, don't forget to rate the show. You can find us on Twitter at Domestic Draft, on Instagram at Domestic Draft Podcast, our website, domesticdraft.com. You can watch the show on YouTube. Just search up Domestic Draft and drop us a sub. Thanks again for listening.
Cheers.
Cheers.